So I'm curious, how did you know you wanted to do this? When was the first time when you were like, you know what, I'm going to be a showrunner? This is for everybody.
I can answer that by saying that I always knew that I did not want to be a showrunner. When I started out on staff, I would look at the people I was working for and the amount of responsibility and stress that they went through, and I thought I like just writing the scripts, and then it sort of happened by accident along the way. So for me, it wasn't something I always aspired to.
Yes, I was going to say, if you write a pilot that gets on the air, they make you be a showrunner. So that's really what happens. I mean, I think, we all watch it as we come up and watch our bosses and what they're going through, and you kind of wonder. It's very daunting to observe it. And then you get your turn. And so, when you've written something and you want to sort of embrace taking on that task, but it doesn't ever stop being daunting.
I would say that I actually did want this. I mean, until I got it now. But I did want it. I actually, when I was working for Michelle and Robert, I started to really think, oh yeah, you know what? This is something I want to do. I want to be able to create a world and see it come to fruition. But I had no idea what it was really going to be like. I mean, you can't. It's a little bit like parenting. People tell you what it's going to be like. You don't know until you're actually doing it. That said, though, I was, I think so. I'm an ambitious sort. So I wanted straight A's and I wanted this job. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I would say that not until the moment where after we created a show and somebody else was running it. And it was like, no, I think I'd prefer to make my own mistakes.
Yeah, I didn't, it was an accident. I never knew anything about wanting to be a showrunner, but I've been working in production for a long, long time, and I had worked with Louie C.K. a long, long time ago. We made a weird movie called Pootie Tang, and
a great movie. A great movie.
Well, it was a great experience, and we developed a relationship and I just spit all over myself. That's why I'm the showrunner now. I actually spit on myself. But we stayed in touch, and then when this show came up, he said, you got to do this show with me. And I didn't really understand what a showrunner was. And it just came by accident, fell into it. And there's now 3 other shows that I'm producing that grew out of that. And they're all different, and it's either, I think it's like everyone said, you see it and you either go, yeah, I can do that, or that is so terrifying that I have to do it, or you can't stand to see somebody else doing what you know you can do better.
For me, I always wanted to do this. I had a different start. When I was in college, I was a bank teller, and I was annoyingly good at money, so I got my start in the business a long time ago, being the money person, right, and the budget person, which is annoying sometimes to the showrunners, and then transitioned. So then just really made that leap to directing and really getting into running my own shows. So that's sort of my story.
Did any of you feel like you had a really good mentor when you were coming up through the system, and that there was somebody that you looked at as like, this is a person I turn to for advice and guidance, and maybe you still do ever?
I had a bunch of them. One of them is over here. I was really fortunate. I worked for some really great people. I worked for Greg Berlanti, who was very helpful to me. I worked for Robert and Michelle, who were very helpful and very supportive of me. I met Yvette Lee Bowser, who created Living Single, and she was very helpful. So I literally still call those people. I still do it. Because I don't know what they know, So, absolutely. I wouldn't be here without that, which is why it's so important to me to mentor others, because you can't keep anything that you don't give away.
I had great mentors, Josh Brand and John Falsey to start, and then David Chase. And watching those people work taught me everything that I could possibly want to know. And I just, I think now, relating back to the first question, that is what made me want to do it, watching them do it and seeing what was possible. And I still, the way I organize the show that I run to this day, when people ask why I do it that way, I realize, well, because Josh and John and David did it that way, and it served me well. So
I had one very important mentor, and only one, Tom Fontana, on Homicide, and I am just one of, there really must be dozens of people working and thriving in the industry who are only there because of him, and really the love that he gave us. And I know Bruce Paltrow did that for him on St. Elsewhere, and he swore he was going to do it for others, and now my husband and I are trying to do the same thing, and our assistant from In Treatment is now writing for Girls. So always try to give it back. I completely agree.
I didn't have a mentor, and I feel like I was desperately looking for mentors. I came up through feature films, and I just wanted a mentor. I wanted to find someone who I could really look up to and work for, and I worked for lots of different people. And I feel so committed now to mentoring other people, and I do it anytime somebody comes and says, I want to start in this business, I want to do it, I will do everything I can to help them figure it out and give them some guidance, because I just feel like I desperately wanted it and I didn't really get it. And there are a few people that I learned from, producers, just watching how they treated other people, how they worked with the script, how they worked with the cast, how they created an environment on set, and I just tried to copy that and emulate it. But it is so critical to find a mentor if you can. It really, really helps.
Sorry, I completely agree. I mean, I didn't have a mentor either, but I learned by watching, and so my commitment to mentorship is 100% the same as Blair's. It's really important to make sure that people moving up in the industry do have mentors.
Do you find yourselves saying no to the same thing over and over? Is there something that comes up, you're like, I feel like this is the one I say no to the most?
That's a great question, but I have no idea what it means.
Well, that either this kind of storyline gets pitched, or these kinds of production requests are made, or these are sort of ideas that I'm just not interested in creating a story around, or things I think are really tired and I don't want to put on TV anymore, even though they keep bubbling up and someone suggests them.
Yes, I actually do have something like that. A lot of fans of my show ask me, when will Tasha beat Angela down? And that is so tired, and that will never happen as long as I'm running the show. And one, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't watched the show, but Tasha's not dumb enough to beat down a federal prosecutor, A. And B, these are adults on my television show. I could never get that question again on Twitter, and it would be too soon. You know what I'm saying?
Do you guys also get questions on Twitter? I know not everyone is as active. Is that a part of your sort of show running life? You guys are like, oh, no. But some of you are.
Sarah Treem, our showrunner, is very, very active, but she's 10 years younger than I am, so I attribute it to that.
No, we do it. I do it. I mean, we live tweet episodes of Veep, and it's very, fans are great. I don't respond usually. I just tweet along with really boring production facts.
Yeah, I think we're in your camp. Yeah. We do the live tweeting now and again, and we'll give out things that we think are interesting, and then afterwards people wonder why we didn't respond to questions, and because we didn't know how.
I'm really active, like incredibly active in social media. I do Twitter Q&As. I answer questions a lot. I really interface with the fans. Our fans are young, a lot of them, and so that's part of it. It was something that was really important to the life of the show, and getting the message out there. And plus, because 50 Cent is one of my EPs, he's so active in social media that it actually started to, I had to get my voice out there so that certain things about the show, like the way that he would pull the dialogue, I wanted to offer another way of looking at it, which is like that he and I, that's our roles, But I think it's a huge part of my job It's a huge part of my job. So it's interesting to see that no one else really was like is engaged in that way, because that's like a lot of what I do. I don't write any scripts, just tweet.
So for the shows that are represented here, we have a really big variety in the length of a season. Some of you have shows that have over 20 episodes a season, some of you fewer than 10, depending on the season. Is there a dream length for you that you wish your show had that many number of episodes per season?
I like 13. That's a good number for Louie.
13 seems like an
And for
awesome
Sa-
number.
13 is good. We've occasionally do 14 because he just writes, we shoot stuff, and it just ends up being, oh, we've got an extra episode. We did 8 this season, which felt really not enough. It was kind of sad to only have 8. It felt like it wasn't complete, it wasn't finished. And then he decided to take a big old break. So I wanted more. But 13 is nice. You can do it without falling apart. You can do it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm doing a Danny McBride series, Vice Principals in South Carolina, and we're doing 18 back to back, and we're not done yet. And it feels like never ending. So I don't know how you do more than 10 feels good to me.
Michelle, Barbara, how do you guys do more than 10?
We do 22. I don't know why.
Yeah, we're doing 23 this year, and it's hard for me to talk about without crying right now because we're only prepping episode 9, I think. So no, 10. We're prepping 10. So talk to me in a few months.
Because we get 58 minutes of show, it ends up being about 12 episodes of regular broadcast TV, even though it's 10 episodes. But in an ideal world, I'll be honest, I'd love to have 13. I'd love to have 13. I mean, I think that feels right to me. It still does. Maybe it's because I grew up in broadcast, but like that feels like a manageable number, a good way to tell a certain amount of story and all that.
What I think is great is that there seems to be, at least in cable, some new flexibility around this number. And I know in England there's a tremendous amount of flexibility. So a willingness to see what the story calls for and what you need and to change it a little bit. So Sarah did 10 last year on The Affair. This year it was clear that the story that we had to tell and the ground that we had to cover was longer, and they let us do 12, and we'll see what next year entails.
Yeah. That's really great. I think that's one of the things that's happening in cable is that there's a real difference in what you can say and the time you need to say it in. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we've been fortunate to have cable executives who are supporting that. We have 2 other shows that have 10 episodes and one that's going to have 13. So it just feels like it's about what you need to say.
See, I grew up loving Melrose Place, and that was like 35 episodes a season. So I'm always like, more show, I want more show. Yeah. So I don't know, just putting it out there, you guys. That's my wish. How much do you think about, if I was on network, I would have this kind of stuff, or, ooh, if I could just be on cable, I would have this other thing, or, man, my next show, I'm going to do streaming because that way I'll have fill in the blank. Is that something you think about?
All the time.
All the time.
I would say I actually think it's so ridiculous that we let broadcast and cable shows compete in the Emmys. It's not the same animal. I think it's offensive. It's offensive to me. Yeah, and when people complain to me sometimes about how hard we are working, I say, we're doing 10. Down the street at The Good Wife, they are doing 12 more than this. I mean, because the pace of having to break things, the pace of having to write things, all that pace, the way that it gets away from you when it starts rolling down the hill, is just different. I think broadcast is so much more difficult. I mean, I've said this before. I think broadcast is I can, with sex and violence and actually shooting someone in the head and 58 minutes, if I can't pull that off, I'm an idiot. I mean, I'm straight up. I really believe that I'm at such an advantage And because I never did a cable show before this, and people are, it's literally like walking in somewhere and having someone throw rose petals and go, what would you like to do today? So, you know, it's like, I remember when I was on The Good Wife and we were trying to figure out how we were going to get a certain sex act passed, standards and practices, right, S&P, and I can show that act now, so, you know, just saying.
Yeah, on FX is basic cable. So I still have standards and practices, and I have no money. So, like, I look at network, and I'm like, God, they have money, but they are killing themselves. HBO has money, and they can do anything, and they don't have standards and practices. So we have to fit into this weird place where we don't have money, and we still have to get approval for everything that might be a little bit racy, and we have commercials too. So so I always look at broadcasts and think, well, that would be fun and really challenging. And then I look at Netflix. I just did a pilot for Amazon with Tig Notaro, and just could do anything, and money, and freedom, and it was so cool. And I was like, oh, this is good. We can shoot more days and try things and then not keep them in. And it's different. They're all really different.
Tell me there's a downside, please, so I can sleep tonight.
Well, a lot of people don't watch things on Amazon.
Okay, thank you.
Is reach something you think about? Is that a helpful thing to consider when you're putting a show together? Or is that sort of a dangerous place to let your mind wander to?
Is what?
Reach, like how many people are watching this? What kinds of people are watching this? Am I getting a story out there to the people I most want to hear it?
I have to say it matters to me, and maybe that's because I work in network and I have to look on the upside of it. And one of the things is it's kind of a big game. You know, the numbers are much bigger, and everything is much bigger. The promotion and everything. It's just it's something that I do think about. It's impressive, and you know, it is something that helps you get through the idea that you got to do 22 of these or 23 of these with the kind of restrictions that we have. But I also, over time, come to think of the restrictions as kind of fun. That's part of the challenge to me, and just proving that you can do really quality television with these restrictions on network, 22 or 23 of them, is sort of the game, and you can make it fun if you have the right attitude, which I don't always, but we try to.
Is there anything you feel like you've gotten away with? Like something that sort of like snuck through that you're like, ooh, I thought we would get flagged for that, or I thought this would be an issue, but yay, like this one made it sort of slipped under the radar?
Come on, Michelle, you have to have something.
I'm surprised every time they let us talk about politics, race, and sex, and
That's
we
true.
do it almost every episode. So I only imagine that it's all going by so quickly that they just don't have time to stop us.
What I sometimes say is, like, we've done some things that were pretty subversive about race on our show and really sort of put it out there. And sometimes we treat them as jokes, and sometimes we don't. But we had a whole conversation between two drug dealers about whether it's better to be inside the system or outside the system to make change. And it was something that, I mean, it looked like a conversation between two drug dealers, but at the end of the day, it was actually about racial politics and whether or not it's better to agitate from the outside or try to affect change from the inside. And people, sometimes I say a lot on the show, like, I'm distracting you with sex and violence, and I'm actually talking about real stuff. And in that particular case, we got to do real stuff, which was great. And then just personally for me, I got to put in, like, you know, I work for 3 white guys who are my network executives, and I put in this thing where a white woman went to Tasha and said, "Can I touch your hair?" And it was like a huge part of my growing up, you know, huge part of my growing up. And they were like, "Is that a thing?" And I'm like, "Trust me, it's a thing." And then when it happened, Twitter sort of exploded, and people were like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "Yes, human experience, it's universal."
I think for us, it's living within the restrictions also is a good thing. It makes you understand that you can tell a story even if you can't say fuck and you can't say this and you can't show this and you can't show that. But, I mean, what you guys do on network is seriously the big leagues. I mean, I feel like the muscles that you have developed by having to put out those shows and to live within real broadcast standards is unbelievable. It's really big-time stuff. I think it's very impressive.
Have you ever gotten a note that you thought was helpful? Like a network note, because everyone is sort of like, oh, we weren't allowed to do this and I couldn't do this, and you sort of hear a lot of feedback that's like, oh, the network said this thing didn't make sense and it made perfect sense to us. Was there ever a time where you're like, oh, actually that one I get?
For us, I would say that happens not infrequently, but those notes are always about clarity and case. You know, things that, okay, we've been living with in the writer's room for so long that it made perfect sense, but if you're looking at it the first time, it's like, wait a minute, how did you get from A to B? So good with those notes, and that actually can be helpful. What's never helpful is but I don't think the character would do that note. That's, no.
Anybody else got a good note?
I would say that in my experience, we get good notes all the time from the executives at Showtime and from HBO. And that often it can happen, especially on the cuts of the show, where by that time you're so in it and you are bringing to what you're watching everything that you saw and said and the whole history of what you discussed in the writer's room. And sometimes, as you say, it has to do with logic and what does make sense or what isn't landing that you just think it is because you know the origins of it. So very, very smart executives on these shows.
I would say same thing. I get good notes all the time. I mean, there's the thing to do for me is always like I was taught really well by some of the showrunners that I worked for to treat the executives as your first audience. Like instead of having an adversarial relationship with them, they are invested in the show. They actually want to watch the show. They want it to be good. So then what they're asking you or what they're pointing out isn't something to pull threads, but maybe it might be something that you just didn't think of. And then you can go through the process of going, I didn't think of that. Oh, I didn't think of that because it's stupid. Or I didn't think of that. Oh shit, I really need to do that. You know, but you have to be open to hear it first. So I get great notes all the time.
I get really good notes all the time too, and I think the rule for taking notes is a lot simpler than you might think, which is take the notes you like and don't take the notes you don't like. Yeah. Because if you stonewall them all, they can't trust you, right. And if you take them all, they can't trust you, and so you sort of work out a system where you really, you're a fool not to take a good note, regardless of who it comes from. And then you sort of earn the right to fight for the stuff that you really think is going to hurt the show in some way.
I agree with that. That the first thing is to not have an adversarial relationship and understand that you're in a partnership and they want you to succeed. And you do get lost sometimes because you're in it. But taking the notes that work and that you like and agree with and letting go of the ones that you don't. But then that relationship can deepen and they trust you and they see where you're coming from and what's important.
And they know we'll look at it means fuck off.
Yeah.
They figured that one out.
They know that. Like that's not, you're not fooling anybody when you say that, you know?
Yeah.
I remember how sad I was when they figured that out. It was about 2 years in. It's a good run.
I would point out, though, first of all, we're all saying the same thing, and we're all not saying it in season 1. Because in season 1, they actually have no idea what the show is.
That's true.
And you're getting not those great notes. You're getting the notes that you think, this is going to put the show off the air. Yeah. And I'm going to lose my job, and you're not going to lose yours. And so that's when it gets tricky.
Yeah, that's true.
How has your relationship to your own show changed after season 1 and then moving forward when you yourself maybe have a better handle on what the show is and where it's going? How does your job change after season 1? How does that sort of, as the show grows, how do you recontextualize it?
For me, one of the things that's changed is that I feel like the actors I leave them alone more. The first season I was on the set for every down, pretty much every scene. I was there the whole time. I don't have to teach them as much about the characters anymore because they know the characters. They've been living them for a longer period of time. So I find that partnership with my actors to be much stronger, and that sometimes they can say to the director, no, I wouldn't do that. And they're right, because we have made this together.
I agree. I think there's just a lot more room to breathe after the first season. The first season, you're just trying to establish what the show is and get people to understand what the show is. And if they don't, they go away. And if they do, then you have a partnership and you can say, all right, we can now breathe a little. It gives us more room to expand our world, tell different kinds of stories. But I think that the first season is about making sure that everybody's clear about what the show is and what it's going to be, including ourselves.
We were so panicked season 1 that we placed a call to John Wells, whom we knew a little bit, and just said, oh my God, what do you do? And he was very nice and sort of talked us off the ledge and said, yeah, that sounds like season 1 problems.
Louie was a very unique situation because it's a show that's about one guy and written by one guy. He writes every episode and directs every episode and acts in every episode and edits every episode. So in season 1, we had no idea we'd get a pickup for season 2. It was so weird. The show was just weird and not like, what is this and where's his voice? And for me, it was trying to protect him and really keep my arms around his process and around the show so he could find what he was trying to say. And then we got a pickup for season 2. We just about lost our minds. And then the show really grew and it evolved and it changed, and it's changed every single year. And the FX didn't know what it was, but they were kind of like, it was so cheap. They were like, all right, we'll do it again. I mean, it just costs 15 cents. I mean, what's the deal? And then so that's been a very unusual situation, that show, and watching him really grow and develop as an artist. We're producing another show called Baskets with Zach Galifianakis. He plays a rodeo clown. And it's John Landgraf called, and he said, I don't know what this show is at all. I mean, the dailies are bananas. And Jonathan Kreisel's directing it, who directs Portlandia and Man-Seeking Woman, and it's so weird and beautiful and fabulous. But season 2 is going to be, now what the hell do we do? And we're lucky because they're really giving us room to find this show, and it is it is a show that is being found every day, and it's pretty great. It's fun.
I would say too, like on Vice Principals that I'm on now, so we're doing 2 seasons back to back. So we haven't wrapped, we are on the 16th episode, 2 seasons, 9 in each season, but we haven't even finished editing the first season. We've already moved into the second season. So we don't even really have time to figure out from season 1 to season 2. And HBO has been really supportive of that process. So it's really interesting because on Veep, certainly season 1, was helping Armando, kind of what you were saying about Louie, is sort of like embracing his process and his first show in America and really making that a pleasant experience for him, which was great. But watching it grow to season 2 and the same thing with the notes at HBO is like, it definitely evolves. You help them find their footing, and then, and you hope it's great.
Are there things about your shows that still make you nervous? Are there any parts of the show where you're like, ooh, this is still the part that I worry the most about?
Getting a script out every week still makes me nervous. Every 8 days we have to put a script out. So that's, to me, everything certainly about network television is time. It's all about time. It's just the enemy. It's what you're working against all the time. And so I just think I never really start to breathe easy till a little bit toward the end of the season, where I feel like we're going to, we really have a goal for ourselves, which is to hit the first day of prep for every episode, and trying to stay on that mark. Really keeps things going. So that's the thing that just constantly makes me nervous. So everything else we could sort of fix. Things will fall apart in production, but we will fix it. And but if the writing train isn't on time, it really makes me nervous.
Louie writing scripts makes me really nervous. Season 3, he gave me a script that took place in China, one that took place in Boston, one in Miami, one in LA, and the rest in New York. And our budget is ridiculous. And I don't want to say no. I want to figure out how to say yes. I feel like that's a huge part of my job, is sort of going, okay, let's just we went to China, we went to Boston, we went to Miami, and we went to LA, and we never asked for any more money. And it was, because I just kept saying, okay, yes, but how? And okay, but yes, and we did it. And that's cool and exciting and fucking scary as shit. Like, I don't want to be the person who goes, no, we can't because we don't have any money. You know, that's a really exciting ride, but it is very, very scary to just have a person writing scripts, one who. There's no room where we get to go, no, dude, that's just crazy. You can have a goat in the street in New York. There's no room.
I think you were about to say there was another part of your show that sometimes.
Oh, yeah, there is. I've been debating whether or not to say it, but the thing that actually frightens me about my show is that I wonder if it's ever going to reach the audience outside of its sort of core demographic. That I would like more people to see our show or to know about it. It's an interesting thing. Last year, we were the highest rated show on Starz, and I still have people say, what is it? And the idea that you would be, there's only 3 premium cable networks, and that we would be the highest rated show on it, and people would not have heard of it. It speaks to something that actually really troubles me and really frightens me about how television is perceived and how people select themselves out of it. And I had a reporter say to me, I was talking about the next show that I wanted to do, and it was about where I grew up, which is Connecticut. And she said, she didn't mean to offend me, but she said, well, I'll watch that one. Ooh. She meant it as a compliment. And I just thought, okay, there's still a long way to go here. And so, you know, we were having a debate this morning about whether or not, how key art should look and all those things. And it really comes down to, can we get people to sample the show who don't know that the show is actually about lost love, who don't know that the show is actually about right and wrong, good versus evil, who just assume that it's a show about what they think because they haven't actually tried. And that's the thing that scares me the most, because I don't know how to solve that. I can't stand on the street and say, you know, you'd like it if you tried it. So that's my fear.
Are there things about your shows that you're like, oh, this is why I do this? Like, being part of television, this is the most exciting part, and I'll never get tired of this.
I do to make people laugh. That's the best part of doing my show, for sure, you know.
To me, it's the collaborative aspect of it. I mean, I could not imagine my dad is a novelist, being a writer and just sitting alone in a room day after day.
It's okay.
I like that. Oh, I'm sorry, but here you are with all of us. I love the collaborative part. I love going in and being on set with the whole crew every day. I love talking to the actors most of the time. I love the room and the writing process with other writers. And I love those moments where you realize that the story is getting better because there are 6 or 8 minds working on it rather than just you alone. So.
I was going to say, the thing I never get tired of is watching Juliana Margulies. Every cut, it's just like, wow, is she a good actress? I mean, she really does make everything sing. That's a blessing. And the fact that there's someone at the top of the call sheet that actually is that good really brings everything up.
Anybody else?
I just love making stuff. I mean, there's something so magical about the script that I'm nervous about comes out, and then all these people get busy, and for us, it's like, you know, about 12 days later, you're making something, and then not much longer after that, it's on the air, and everybody gets to see it. So I just love the what happens when everybody starts doing their job. And as Anya was saying, the collaborative, the fact that we get to see all these great people do their great work, including our stars, and watching everybody bring what they do to the game, and then you've made something. I can't imagine what's more satisfying than making something, except putting it on the air where, you know, millions of people can see it. It's fun.
Agreed. It's so fun to collaborate with people and to watch something come to life and know people are talking about it and having conversations about your show, or you made them laugh, or you made them think, or you made them feel something. And it's just fun to do that with other people. It's really satisfying.
I think this is going to be our last question, but if you could wave a magic wand, what would you make sure was part of television that you feel like isn't part of television right now?
I would make it mandatory to watch my show. Pass some kind of legislation. I don't know.
I think I'd love for it not to be a thing when there are a bunch of women showrunners somewhere. I'd love not to have it be pointed out all the time. Like, isn't it great that you're black and you're a woman? Isn't it great that my show's good? Like, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Like, I would just love to leave that alone. I mean, I know I'm bringing it up now, but I'm just saying, like, I would love for it not to be a thing. For it just to be, like, super normcore, that, like, a person who runs a show can also not be male.
Well, I agree, and I commend this event. I don't think it was advertised as an all-female panel, which I think was fantastic, because what I was told is they don't advertise it as an all-male panel when it's 6 men sitting up here. So I think that's fantastic.
Although that would be awesome. Wouldn't that be great? Like, so you're a male showrunner. How does that work?
How do you have it all, though, as a guy? Is it hard to juggle everything?
You're a father, too?
Damon, how do you do it?
Do you ever cry? Other than adding more creators and more, I guess, sort of women at every part of a show, I think it's not just the top of the pyramid, right? Like, I think it'd be interesting to see women at every level better represented through television. But other than that, is there a kind of story you wish was out there, or like I don't know, an idea that you feel like, okay, this is something I don't get to see on TV?
I would like to see more women who are not 25. You know, I'd like to see older women on shows. Like, we have lives and do funny things and are interesting. So I'd like, you know, to see more of a sort of, I'll just put myself in that category, older women on TV, you know, having real lives and not just being sort of objects of jokes or something.
Oh, welcome to CBS.
I was going to say, watch more Tierney this season. She's amazing on The Affair.
Oh, yes, she is awesome. And she's,
I actually would like to see more LGBT content that is not just made by LGBT folk. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like to make people, make it more inclusive just all over the place. One of the things I learned, just working where I was working, is that you don't just make the world look like the world looks. Just make the world look like the world looks. It doesn't have to look like, you know, it doesn't have to be about that to just have people in the world. The meanest fucking drug dealer on my show is gay, and it ain't no thing. You know what I mean? Like, it just is what it is. You just, you know, just do what you're going to do. And I think the same thing is true of representations of Latinos. That would be better. It'd be so great for television to look like the country. It'd be awesome.
I think we're going to have to leave it at that. I want to thank all of our panelists, and I want to thank all of you.